Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you an adventure horror film, The Lair. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The film begins with a text talking about a bombing incident in 2017. The text explains that the US military had deployed a giant non-nuclear bomb on a remote insurgent province. However, there's more than just meets the eye. So what we're about to see is the truth behind the bombing. A group of fighter pilots led by Captain Kate is suddenly attacked by some missiles. The pilots try to protect themselves by deploying countermeasures, but it's of no use. One of the missiles strikes Kate's jet, and it makes her think of some memories with her family at home. Kate crashes into the ground and is saved by her teammate, but a group of insurgents arrive with their rifles. Kate's teammate asks her to play dead and tries to shoot at the insurgents, but he gets shot down. Kate continues to play dead to trick the insurgents and uses her deception to kill two of them. One insurgent charges Kate with his sword, but he is shot down by her teammate, who still has some life left in him. Kate bids an emotional goodbye to her teammate and tries to radio for support, but there is no response. It turns out one of the insurgents survived the fight and he is reunited with his other teammates. The insurgents find Kate and attack her with their guns. She shoots back at them and refuses to surrender despite being greatly outnumbered. Kate does her best to fight her opponents and manages to land a few shots, but she runs out of bullets, so she's forced to run into a mysterious entrance to a cave. To hide from the insurgents, Kate brings out one of her glow sticks and explores the cave, which actually turns out to be some kind of bunker. The insurgents follow after her, and tensions rise as Kate tries to avoid her enemies. After some exploration, Kate reaches a strange room where she finds a rotting corpse. Kate is confused to see this, so she investigates the room and finds a piece of paper with some Russian words written on it. Kate quickly realizes that this is a testing lab for human subjects, as there are multiple pods with bodies inside. Kate finds a portable hard drive and takes it, but the insurgents also reach the lab. They are shocked to see the bodies inside the pods, and Kate makes use of this distraction to surprise the insurgent. She takes him down and steals his weapon to protect herself. The insurgents shoot at Kate and end up breaking one of the pods. This causes the body inside the pod to fall out of it. Kate manages to avoid the bullets and finds a vent, so she decides to enter it. Kate slowly walks through and avoids the searching insurgents. Suddenly, the fallen body wakes up and is revealed to be a deadly monster. It kills one of the insurgents and feasts on his flesh. Meanwhile, Kate is caught by an insurgent, but she uses a flare to take him down and climbs up a ladder. Another insurgent holds onto Kate's leg and doesn't let go, no matter how many times she kicks him. However, the monster appears and kills him with a single slash. Shocked and confused, Kate runs away and narrowly escapes the monster by getting out of the cave, but she also gets injured in the process. Kate shoots the monster with her rifle, but that isn't able to kill it, so she ties a chain around the doors to trap it inside. Kate is confronted by an insurgent nicknamed Beardy, but he quickly runs away after noticing the monster. Kate tries to find her way to safety, but time starts to run out as her injuries grow worse. Suddenly, a team of American soldiers finds Kate, and they reveal that they were sent here to look for her. A cornrowed soldier thoroughly searches through Kate's body and takes away her locket as well as the hard drive. Kate begs the team to leave this province as soon as possible, but the soldiers don't take her seriously and bring her to their camp. Kate meets with the major, and Beardy is also shown to have been apprehended by the American soldiers. Kate tells the major about the Russian bunkers and the deadly monster, but he doesn't listen to her bullshit because he thinks it's ridiculous. Kate remains adamant that what she saw was real, but the major mocks her by saying she doesn't have any combat experience. That's when Sergeant Hook shows up and vouches for Kate, but even then, the major refuses to act on Kate's advice. Later, Kate confronts Soldier Cornrow for stealing her locket, but she tries to act innocent. The women are about to get into muscle wrestling, but Hook shows up and orders Soldier Cornrow to return Kate's locket. Hook now talks to Kate and tries to reassure her that she is in good hands, even though the major wasn't too friendly with her. Kate wants to know more about Hook, so he says that he lost two of his soldiers in combat due to his own recklessness. Now, the major opens up a letter addressed to him and shows signs of worry. It prompts the major to call up his colonel and report his interaction with Kate. Kate is treated for her injuries by the doctor, and she notices Beardy next to her. Kate asks Beardy to speak up as he also saw a monster, but the doctor tells her that Beardy doesn't know any English. Hook walks into the tent and wants to talk to Kate about what she saw in the bunkers. Kate writes down the Russian text she saw in the lab, as she has a photographic memory. Nobody seems to understand what the text means, but then Beardy reveals that he can speak English as well as Russian. Beardy says that the text translates to "do not open" and explains that the Soviets were the masterminds behind everything Kate saw. Hook argues that the mysterious bunkers would have to be 30 years old if they belonged to the Soviets, and no human would have been able to survive for so long. However, Beardy says that whatever is down there isn't human. As night approaches, it seems as if the monsters are waking up from their slumber, and they break out of their pods. The monsters are also able to open locked doors, and they make their way outside the bunker. It turns out the major is being given a voluntary discharge, so he decides to use the hard drive that Kate found as leverage against the colonel. Outside, the soldiers are keeping a watch for any insurgents, but Hook continues to be suspicious because of what Kate and Beardy told him. Suddenly, one soldier disappears, and then another one spots a monster. They begin shooting at the monsters, but the monsters are very fast and are able to avoid the bullets. A tense sequence follows as the soldiers try to prevent the monsters from breaking into their camp. The major learns about the attack and orders his soldiers to kill the monsters, but it is going to take more bullets to take them down. The monsters eventually break into the camp, and things get even worse when one of them enters the major's tent. The major tries shooting the monster, but he runs out of bullets, so he tries to bring out a bigger gun. Another monster breaks into the doctor's tent and attacks Kate. It uses its snaky tongue to strangle Kate, but not to tongue massage her. Luckily, Beardy saves Kate by slicing the monster's juicy tongue and stabbing it to death. Things get worse as more soldiers are killed by the brutal invasion, and even the major struggles against the monster fighting him. Now Kate joins Hook and the remaining survivors. The team decides to split up to save the major, and they reach him in time before he's murdered. This allows the major to finish the monster with his bat, but he is also struggling with his injuries. He wants to be left alone, but is carried by his soldiers to the remaining group. They are attacked once more, but Kate gets on top of the monster and stabs it repeatedly. There are too many monsters to handle, so the team decides to hide inside an empty cargo container. Feeling clueless, the soldiers ask Beardy if he knows anything about the monsters. Beardy talks about the Soviets invading his country and mentions how the monsters had also started showing up around this time. Beardy says that in the past, his father was a part of the hunting team to take down monsters, but he was killed during his mission. The sun rises and the monsters run away, but they also take all the monster corpses with them. Feeling safe, the soldiers try to figure out their next plan. They search around for a bit, find a monster's corpse, and take it to the doctor for examination. The doctor is not very confident about it, but decides to go ahead with the inspection anyway. The doctor notices that the monster's corpse has some very sharp teeth, and this makes Kate suspect that the teeth might belong to a shark. After some more observations, the doctor concludes that the monsters don't like sunlight because their bodies might not be accustomed to UV rays the same way as humans are. Now, the doctor rips through the monster's body and takes out some of its inner organs. The doctor is shocked to learn that the monster is actually humanoid, as it possesses human organs. Everyone is confused to hear this, but that's when the major says that these creatures are hybrid mixed with humans. He apologizes to Kate for doubting her and says that the hard drive Kate found has all the answers they need. The major goes on to explain that the American intelligence army has been studying this province for a while because the Soviets had found a way to integrate foreign DNA into humans. It all began in December 1979 when some Soviets came across an alien spaceship in the Hindu Kuch Mountains. The major states that this was the real reason why the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, because they needed the alien DNA to integrate into human test subjects. The soldiers cannot believe that the Soviet-Afghan war was just a smokescreen. Now, the group needs to find another way to escape because they don't have much fuel left. The major feels guilty for letting his team down, but suddenly, the monster's body reawakens and attacks the soldiers. It grabs Kate and tries to force its juicy tongue onto her, while also fighting off Hook and the other soldiers. Things look bad, but Kate thinks fast and butt-heads the monster to free herself. Feeling inspired, the major sacrifices himself by charging at the monster with a hand grenade. After that, the soldiers realize that the monster was using its tongue to read Kate's mind rather than licking her hormones. Kate says that they should blow up the Russian bunkers because she knows where they are. The soldiers agree with Kate and also decide to free Beardy. However, Beardy doesn't want to walk away because he wishes to avenge his father's death. Kate, Hook, and the others get together and come up with a plan to blow up the bunkers with whatever ammunition they have left. Everyone loads up on weapons and reaches the bunkers. There, they plant all their bombs. However, Kate drops her locket in the process, so Hook pauses for a moment to give it back to Kate. This allows a monster to grab Hook and take him away from his team. The bombs are ready to be triggered, but Kate receives a radio signal from Hook and decides to go back inside to save him. The soldiers are against the idea at first, but eventually agree with Kate. They get into a lift and are lowered down by the doctor, who is operating the lift through an army vehicle. However, the doctor's radio catches a frequency alert, warning everyone to abandon the area within the next 20 minutes. The doctor immediately alerts Kate and the others about it, but they decide to carry on, regardless of the danger. Meanwhile, Hook is attacked by a monster that tries to read his mind by using its tongue. Hook acts fast and cuts the juicy tongue off, thus allowing him to kill the monster. Hook finds the body of a dead soldier and arms himself with his weapons. Kate tries to contact Hook for his location as the team searches for him in the lab. On the other side, Beardy finds some more test subjects and seems to identify them as his people. This leads him to suspect that his own father was also a victim of the Soviet experiments. Kate switches on the lights and it leads the team to discover a giant monster resting inside a giant pod. Hook radios Kate so that he can reach her, but he is suddenly confronted by a monster. Meanwhile, the doctor is attacked by some of the insurgents, who notice him inside the vehicle. More monsters start to hatch, so the soldiers escape and lock the door, but someone needs to stay behind to keep the door shut. The British soldier volunteers to sacrifice himself and convince the others to run away. Tensions rise as Soldier Cornrow notices another monster and stays behind to fight it. Kate wants to help her, but Hook asks Kate to stay with the team inside the lift. Soldier Cornrow struggles against her opponent, but is able to gain the upper hand and kill it with a fire extinguisher. However, another monster shows up and kills her before Hook can make it. The monster starts feasting on its new meal. On the other hand, the British soldier runs out of strength, so he lets go of the door. He then charges at the monsters with a grenade and triggers a massive explosion inside the bunker. Hook manages to hide from the blast, while all the nearby monsters are killed. The vehicle starts to get dragged down into the bunker because Kate and the others are now getting attacked by monsters piling up on the lift. Meanwhile, the doctor struggles to fight against the insurgents, but to no match. He has to surrender to the insurgents. Beardy faces off against a monster and realizes that it is actually his dad, who has been genetically modified, but soon he gets killed by it. The vehicle eventually drops down into the bunker. Luckily for Kate, she is able to get out of the lift just in time before the crash and is reunited with Hook. Kate and Hook manage to get out of the bunker and kill the insurgents attacking the doctor. The survivors notice a jet nearby, so they quickly get into a car and drive away as far as they can. The jet deploys the giant bomb and destroys all the bunkers, hence leaving no trace of the bunkers behind. Kate, Hook, and the doctor survive the explosion, and Kate reveals that Soldier Cornrow managed to hand over the hard drive to her before sacrificing herself. The movie ends with the survivors trying to drive away to safety, but they face issues with the car.